Ashamaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome back to the GeoGearHeads. This is episode 382, and we're back for another randomized show. But you know what? We don't have a guest or anything tonight. It's just my co-host, Chris of the Course. Yeah. Ooh, wow. Chris of the Northwest and I doing the show tonight. Welcome back, Chris.
What course am I on there? Or the course west?
The Course West. Oh, boy.
Daryl, it's always good to be back here. And you know I love these randomized shows. It's one of my favorites.
I do. We do have some good feedback this week, a couple of little topics, but surprisingly, we don't have anything on satellites this time.
What?
No satellites.
Let's make something up quickly.
All right. There are satellites in the sky.
The Hubble Space Telescope circles the Earth every 97 minutes. Okay. Today is the anniversary of launching the Hubble Space Telescope.
Oh, interesting.
I want to say 1990. Is that right?
Wait.
And it's the size of a bus. And do you remember when it launched?
It was a failure.
They couldn't see a thing through it because somebody didn't polish a mirror properly.
Well, yeah, and then they had other problems with they didn't account for gravity or something like that. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but
microgravity.
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. There's something about satellites. Thank you, This Day in History from the Google Daily Brief.
There you go.
I have a Google Home Mini, and so while I'm getting ready in the morning, I just say, "Hey Google, tell me my daily brief," and off she goes, spinning up all my stories, and that was one of them. I liked history, and Today in History was about the Hubble Space Telescope. So, how long is Hubble to stay up? GSM says until it comes down, until gravity decides no more for you.
Well, I think they said that it's actually exceeded its service life like a year or two ago, but they did invest more into it than they wanted to because of the repairs that they had to make once it was up there.
It weighs 24,500 pounds. It is completely solar powered. Hubble orbits the Earth at a cruising speed of 17,000 miles an hour. How do you get a still picture from something like that? I mean, I drive by in my car and my phone can't focus.
Hey, but if you take a picture of the moon from the car, you can actually get it to focus then.
Can you?
Yeah.
I like the moon.
Yeah. So don't even try this if you're actually driving, but if you're a passenger, give it a shot. It will probably actually work.
Interesting.
Now, not if you have a really telephoto lens, but that's other.
So I didn't know this. The launch of the Hubble was delayed by the Challenger disaster. A faulty mirror nearly derailed Hubble's mission before it started. So Hubble was launched in 1990. Main focusing mirror had been polished to the wrong specs. It was a spherical aberration. I use that one a lot. Was minuscule, less than 1/50th the width of a strand of a human hair, yet it was enough to blur many of the photos.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you deal with the optics like that on any kind of, telephoto lens, any kind of camera. It's a problem. This is why you have to make sure to clean the lens before you take pictures, because those little specks, even if you don't see them, they'll show up in the photos in strange ways.
That's right. It only takes pictures in black and white, but it's colorized by NASA. So we just saw a recent picture of
something with
donut.
Uh-huh.
Or they like to call it a black hole. Come on,
right.
It was a donut. That had to be colorized because it only takes it in black and white.
See, I thought they had been doing something with filters so that they could actually rotate in the filters to get the colors. Like they had like an infrared, they had a green, they had all of these different filters that they could rotate in. but I might be thinking of something else because there was a show, I want to say on Spark, or no, it would have been probably in Quarks and Quarks about a year ago before they ended that season.
You mean the Ferengi on Star Trek?
No,
not that Quark.
No.
Okay.
But they were talking about some of the new replacements that they've been working on for Hubble, because at this point, Hubble has kind of served its purpose so well that they need more information.
Well, let me
none
tell
of it
you
is
something.
visual.
The 5 servicing missions have kept Hubble up and running well beyond its originally proposed 15-year lifespan, but it's finally about to meet its heir in the form of the James Webb Space Telescope. It's a $9 billion telescope that differs from Hubble in several key areas. It's optimized for detecting infrared rather than visible light, boasts a much bigger mirror, and won't require any servicing during its 6 to 10-year lifespan.
Yep. And then they're talking about like micro satellites and stuff that are going to start doing some of the searching and whatnot. And yeah, it's really fascinating. Why don't we go? Go ahead.
I remember when we talked about the micro satellites.
Mm-hmm.
Ghana, was it, that launched one?
I don't think it was Ghana, but yeah, there's
a little African country on the west coast.
Yeah, there's been a couple of attempts to make them work, and I don't think at this point the microsatellites have really panned out.
No, but anybody can. Can you imagine how many satellites or those microsatellites they can launch on one SpaceX?
Yeah, and part of the problem though is that you end up launching all those, and then it's that much more you have to look out for, and it's smaller, so it's harder to look for.
Do you want a SpaceX story?
Sure.
Okay, so this is really about satellites. So I have a cousin who makes bellows for the SpaceX program. Do you know what a bellows is? I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the Roadrunner and Coyote, when he uses a bellows to do whatever he does.
Well, I was actually thinking of the I can't remember the name, and it's killing me. I'm trying to call it the auto harp, which is totally wrong, but the accordion.
Oh, there you go. The accordion. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't know that they used accordions to launch SpaceX rockets.
Well, you got to get a big foot, and then a lot of pressure, and that air pressure just launches it right up there.
And makes really loud noises at the same time.
My cousin makes bellows out of different types of metals, stainless steel, alloys that I couldn't remember. And basically they're kind of like dryer hose or vacuum cleaner hose that are meant to expand and contract along the length of the pipe. But they're designed to work at incredibly high pressures and temperatures. So you look at them and you go, well, it's metal. There's no give here. Well, not at the pressures we can apply. So
yeah, it's amazing how things change when you get them outside of what we think is normal activity or normal environment.
Exactly. So while I was able to tour his factory when I was down in California, and while we were there, a SpaceX vehicle launched, the Dragon Heavy. And
very cool. Did you get to?
And it had 3 engines on it, and each engine has 72 of his parts.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, that's what I'm doing right there. We watched it on a big TV screen in the on the production floor. Everybody stopped, came over, and watched. So,
how cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So there you go. We did talk about space vehicles, not necessarily satellites.
Okay, so we've met our requisite for the Randomize show, talking about space.
And spherical aberrations, which is what GSM times 2 calls his stomach.
All right, let's move on to Subway Mark's email. Just thought I'd give you my feedback from the Cash Carnival as follow-up to show 381. I really enjoyed this promotion. I thought there was no way I could get to 500 points, but I did get there. I was in Australia during the start of the promotion, and the caches I had already planned to happen to have a lot of favorite points. So I got to New Orleans with about 50 points to spare on my last day in Melbourne. I didn't think I would get to Rio, but I was happy enough to get the Big Easy. Then I started to get favorite points on one of my caches, which was enough to cause me to go for one last cache drive into my area to get Rio on the final day of the promotion. I really like the reward of cache owners for favorite points. I know that, I know I gave our favorite points more than I usually do. Good job to geocaching.com.
Oh, very cool. Now, Subway Mark, you were in Australia. We don't care. We didn't get to go. Too bad.
Souvenirs don't matter when you're in Australia because, well, maybe if you live there, souvenirs still matter.
Okay. No, I'm just kidding, Mark. Hey, good that you were able to get all the way through. And yeah, I thought that was a cool idea to give cache owners points for every favorite point applied. I thought that was a nice twist.
And I think it was great to see some kind of push again to have events focused around creating caches.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that since the maker events. Personally, I'd like to see that something like once a year, though, not always in the fall. Or I think the last one was actually in the spring too, wasn't it?
Yeah, the last maker event was, yeah.
Yeah. So
about that time of year, about April.
I think we need to do it maybe not quite once a year, but alternate the seasons. Up here getting into the winter is a great time to go and build those like really tricky caches. But down toward the equator, that's when they start going out caching, because it's cool enough that they can do it. So, kind of spread it around a bit and get some more cache creation going.
GSM times 2 says in the chat, and I'm sure this is the way he intended it. I loved this promotion. I'm sure that's exactly how he would have said it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really met the intent of what GCHQ was trying to accomplish. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to really do anything specific toward it, but I really liked the promotion and I would have liked to have had the opportunity to participate more.
Bounce says, I agree. It was nice to give cache owners points awards. Yes, and if you look at Bounce's score total, it was all divisible by 25. The guy never had to go out and find a cache, and he got to Rio. Was it Rio? Yeah, and nothing flat. So,
isn't that handy?
Oh,
yes, but they are well-deserved points.
You guys earned it, without a doubt.
Hey, we'll see if this has any lasting effect, though, on the way that people give out points. Because like around here, people are pretty stingy. You go to some of the other areas, and they're really generous with their points, and others you can't find caches that have any favorite points.
Ever since favorite points came out, I've kind of made it a mission to go find those highly favorited caches.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them I go, oh, yeah, this is totally worth it. And others I'm like, how come this one has so many favorite points? They didn't do anything. It's a film canister next to a lake.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the lake is nice, but it's not, the cache isn't worth anyway. Yeah. You look at it and you go, I don't know why this got a favorite.
Yeah, but I've been through areas where it's like, ooh, these are going to be good caches because they've got 20 and 30 favorite points. No, they're they're slingers. That's a term I haven't used in a while.
Slingers, huh?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, Tick Magnet had also left a YouTube comment for us in January on a geocaching road trip. I ran into a film crew north of Cedar Crest, New Mexico. Lots of white trucks and vans. They were very nice.
There you go.
I assume he means the white trucks and vans were very nice.
Well, what's wrong with a white truck or van? I mean, they are very nice.
Yeah, the nice thing about having those white trucks and vans is that it's very anonymous.
That's right.
No one pays attention to them like the black trucks or vans or SUVs.
The black helicopters is really what we're not supposed to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So yeah, that.
And that was talking about episode 380, the seasonal maintenance, when our guests were talking about their run-in with one of their favorite TV shows, filming right at one of the locations that they had to maintain.
Yeah.
So yeah, JD and Lisa had a treat that day.
Exactly. And yeah, you're going to run into film crews every now and again because geocaching is going to get you out into interesting areas. And guess what? They want to film in interesting areas.
You know, I don't think I've ever run into an actual like professional film crew, though I've run into lots and lots of people doing their own filming while out there.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny when you happen across some like high school students doing some like short film and like jousting on the log in the middle of the woods.
Okay, was it one of those trees with a couple of right angle bends that, you know, brings it flat and then goes back up again? Because I could see that. You have those back there? They
we
say
don't have many of
Native
those.
Americans formed these, you know.
Oh, those ones. Yes. No, we don't have any of those.
I don't know about those.
No, it was a that was one of them. There was another one where it was obvious they were doing or trying to do like a film noir style with a detective, and yeah, I've run across a lot of those school, I assume school project films.
Mm-hmm. In the chat, Starcasher says he actually ran out of favorite points during the Cache Carnival promo. Good for you, Starcasher, using up all those favorite points. It moved. I actually borrowed one back from a WV Tim cache from 2015 temporarily in order to give one out during the promo period.
That's an interesting thing. You know, I wonder if by doing that, he was able to give WV Tim extra points on Cache Carnival too.
It took 25 points away from WV Tim when he lost a favorite point.
Wait, did it work that way?
No, I don't believe
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you this, Daryl.
Okay.
Do you ever go back to archived caches and remove your favorite points?
No, because I still have 644 favorite points remaining to give.
So you're pretty stingy.
Yeah. I do actually give favorite points, but I find so many that are, you know, the average kind of caches. You know, sometimes they're slightly better than average, but it has to be either a really good location or something remarkable about the cache, whether it's the story or the container itself. So I have a couple of hiders around here that I almost always give a favorite point to because they don't hide many caches. Well, actually, one of them still hides a whole bunch, but you know they hide really good quality caches.
Right. I completely agree. I don't think I have gone back and taken off caches or favorite points off of caches that have been archived. I can understand why you would do it, but again, I have so much. I'm trying to sell mine on eBay. Nobody wants to buy my favorite points.
Yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't seem to work very well because you can't give your favorite points to anyone.
Oh, maybe that's why nobody's buying them.
Right.
Huh.
Although you could probably sell them to cache owners. I will log your cache with a favorite point for X number of dollars.
Ooh, that could be my next business.
This sounds like something that geocaching.com would try to figure out pretty quickly and shut it down.
I would think so. No, you want real favorite points on a cache, not some pseudo favorite points.
Yeah.
And only premium members get favorite points. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Yeah. So it would cost you a good amount of money. But you know, if you could get out there and, you know, $1 a favorite point to cover your annual
Cost
fee
of membership. Yeah. But you only get one favorite point for every 10 caches found.
Yeah.
Unless I messed up that number in my head.
So you got to go out and armchair log a whole bunch of them. Wait, no, I didn't say that, did I?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Folks.
I like GSM times 2. Maybe we should pronounce it Fav coins, but
Favcoin.
Fav coins replacing Bitcoin in 2020.
Ooh, I like that. Folks,
Currency
I'm
based
only
on favorite
joking.
coins.
Don't go out and do that. That's wrong. See what happens when I get off script? I get myself in trouble.
Ooh, we have a script? Maybe we should find that.
You know, in fact, the next thing on the script says we got an email from Astronaut. He says he sent us an article.
Pause. Johnny Cash 313. All of my favorite points were earned via bribery, not creativity.
Ooh, I like that.
Favorite points for hot dogs. How's that?
Ooh. If you give me a favorite point, I'll buy you a hot dog. It's a Costco hot dog. It's only $1.50.
Hey, it's still worth more than $1 then.
Yeah, that's true. Let me get back to Astronaut.
Yes.
Because, you know, we like to talk about satellites, and he's an astronut.
So he actually works with real space, not just,
Either that or he likes GMC minivans.
Remember, he works for NASA.
Okay. He sent us an email that says, MIT Technology Review. Mapping the world in 3D will let us paint streets with augmented reality. The article says, do you believe tech optimists 10 years from now, self-driving cars will be ubiquitous, drones will deliver our parcels, and robots will bring us groceries? And one day soon, our cities will be painted with augmented reality that feels as if it belongs to the street corner where it was placed. I don't know if I believe all that. Whether or not any of that comes to pass, one piece of the puzzle will be crucial to this future: ultra-precise location technology. GPS and the wandering blue dot on the smartphone maps are useful for a human navigating an unfamiliar city, but just won't cut it for machines. They will need to know where things are down to the centimeter.
Yeah, this was actually talked about too on Podcasher, but they just kind of went over it a little bit. Essentially, this article is about this London-based startup called Scape that's working on precise 3D mapping using GPS photos and camera images from multiple cameras and everything to try to build what to me sounds like a 3D map, but it's basically doing photogrammetry, I think, to create 3D models.
Apparently, I lost Johnny Cash at Ubiquitous.
All right.
That means everywhere.
But the interesting thing that they're doing sounds like they're using AI to, which everyone is using AI at this point, but they're using some kind of AI to extract the points of interest and use those as markers.
Exactly. So it's interesting. Yeah, they are going to paint the world using these photos so that they're using AI to help AI get us the stuff we want.
Yeah, this could be for games and whatnot, but it's really, I think, targeted more at the navigation, the autonomous navigation systems.
Which will be ubiquitous.
Maybe. But we're not talking about just cars. We're talking about things like the drones to map where the drones may run into problems with like signs and such, especially if Amazon starts delivering packages by drone. We're going to have a lot of problems out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not going to work very well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's business that's going to drive this first, and then we will get the gamification of it.
I don't know. We might end up getting the gamification first because the technology is good enough for that, but not accurate enough for that robot that's delivering the pizza that's driving on the sidewalks.
And what happens if the sidewalk is closed for construction? Is the pizza robot going to know how to get over? Or what about the cookie robots?
Yeah, I do worry about this kind of stuff. What happens when everything is AI and we're not getting like road closures and stuff actually shared with us from, the municipalities or whatnot that get put in, and it starts trying to figure out that there's road closures based on traffic. So if everyone's avoiding this one area because it's slow, or maybe there was a flood or something like that, is it all of a sudden going to decide that because everyone's avoiding that area, it's actually a construction zone and close it, and then no one can go on it?
Interesting.
I'm sure they're going to get a lot more sophisticated than that, and by the point that we're going to actually like use those kind of algorithms, it's going to be collecting data from a heck of a lot more sensors, like the autonomous cars. So I think it's a problem that's not really something I need to worry about. But
Johnny Cash is just going to go back and forth like a Roomba.
Well, that they keep talking about the bullying of the smart cars. That's basically what it is. You can, you can bully a smart car if you go at it, or it will run away from you.
But I think if once we get to all autonomous cars on the roadway, or at least 90%, I think traffic problems will go away, because they're going to be nicer to each other than we are.
Well, and the trouble is, and they can talk to each other too.
Yeah, and you can merge in at speed. I'll let you, because I know where you're going.
Yeah, that they're coming. You can make room. It's everything is built to work with each other. The whole problem with going for something like autonomous cars short term is that transition period when you have a few autonomous cars trying to work with the
obnoxious drivers.
Yeah. And who might not notice something. And, we're not saying that the autonomous cars are going to be perfect, because I'm sure they won't, but they're going to be far more predictable and have a lot more information that they can use.
We hope. Yes. Yes. Hopefully they will be more predictable.
Yeah. And Bounce Bounce says, until it decides to run you over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that as very likely.
I don't know.
Yeah, although they had those self-parking car errors early on.
One of the new cars, I don't remember which one it is. It's got a button on the remote. You pull like halfway into a parking spot, get out, and on the remote hit the button, and it pulls up and parks itself. And when you're ready to go, you put the button and it pulls back so you can get in, so you don't ding doors.
I think there's more than one that's doing that, but I want to say that's a Cadillac.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the Cadillac was the one that did that first. Cadillac's actually supposed to be, according to some of the reports I've heard, further along with the autonomous cars than anyone else who's actually in production.
I heard Ford was. I thought all the Ford cars already talk to each other.
Well, yeah, Ford is ahead in some of the communications, but they're not doing the autonomous stuff.
Okay. Hey, we got a really good chat room tonight, Daryl.
We do.
Wet Coaster says it'll be safe, or until the 14-year-old hacks the software and takes control of the cars.
But you know what the sad thing is? They're already doing some of that.
Yeah.
And I think the car companies haven't really thought about the security so much until they started seeing some of the problems with trying to do the Bluetooth in car, where it talks to all this other stuff. And I think the big one was actually OnStar. That was the first one that had a big security hole, because they figured out you could, with enough radios, override the signals and tell it to shut itself down while it was driving.
Oh,
like at freeway speeds.
Isn't that lovely?
But there was a proof of concept in one of the conferences 4 years ago, where they actually took control of a Jeep driving beside them.
Yeah, you still had to be close, but you could actually,
So because they've had all these issues, they are making some good headway in security. And we're seeing a lot more interest and focus on it, especially with the autonomous cars, because they know by the time they get there, it's going to be so much easier for people who want to hack it. Did you catch bounce? Okay, go ahead.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do with bullies? Just punch him in the face? Since the car doesn't have it, it'll just run you over, or, decides all humans are evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I'm sure, program it so it can't do that.
I'm sure the Skynet system isn't as bad as people have made it out to be.
Yikes. All right, let's move on to Russ Atkinson, who sent us an email letting us know that his Cliff Knowles mysteries are now free.
Do you want me to read this one?
Go ahead.
Okay. Russ, I know this isn't your voice, but I'm going to do it. I've had it with Amazon. I appreciate it permitted me to become a published author and develop a fan base, but in recent years, their policy towards authors have been increasingly unfair. As the saying goes, they keep the elevator and they give us a short shrift. I realized also, I don't care about the royalty money. I make more from my Amazon capital gains than I do from the books. They treat us shareholders a lot better than us authors. So I've made all my books free. No strings attached, no ads, just free in digital form. Now, it's only in PDF form, but I may eventually upload a series of HTML pages too. For those who want to read it in a browser, if I find that there's a demand for it, I may upload it. I've left the books on Amazon for now, and the links for those versions, including the audiobook of Cashed Out and all the paperbacks. But I'm in violation of Amazon's terms of service by making the digital versions free, and will probably be kicked off the platform eventually. Just click on the link below or on the My Books in the menu above for the Cliff Knowles mystery page and download the PDF version of any of my books for free.
So that's pretty cool. And I have a couple of his books that I grabbed. We actually have had him on the show a couple of times too. But I've never actually read the books. The only one I can get around to is the Cashed Out audiobook, and I really enjoyed that. So I would recommend the Cashed Out audiobook. That was kind of fun.
Yes. I've read a couple of them, and I've really enjoyed them. I have a Cashed Out side of... I'm trying to figure out what Bounce is trying to say here. I have a cash out side of Tesla.
He has a cash outside of Tesla.
Cash outside of Tesla. There we go. I was going from Cliff Knowles Cashed Out to that, and I couldn't make the turn. I should change the name to Skynet or make some kind of puzzle that will shock you.
And Star Cash says, so you better download them before they are kicked off. And he's talking about they'll get kicked out of the Amazon store. So
he'll
do the Kindle and whatnot.
Yeah. Because he's offering it somewhere else for free.
Right.
So, no, they will be free from what I understand on this page.
Yeah. As PDFs though. So you can't really put them on like the Kindle very well.
No, but.
And it's going to cost you a fortune if you try to print it.
Why is that?
Think of all the ink as you go through hundreds.
I have the first one here, Cashed Out, and it is 241 pages. But you double-sided, it's only 120.
Yeah. Hey, that's listening ink cartridge.
Yeah. That's nothing.
Depends on the printer.
Let's see. Hold on. I don't have my calculator up.
Uh-oh. He's doing
120 pages times 0.05, a nickel, is $6.
Coaster says print them out at work, you save the cost.
There you go. So you could get his book for $6 printed if you can get it printed for a nickel a page.
I think it cost me more than that actually, but
that's what our
mileage
cost is at work. But
yeah, it depends a lot on the type of printer you have. If you have like one of those little inkjet printers,
oh boy,
cost per page is expensive.
You start it and go to bed, and they only hold 100 pages, so it won't finish, will it?
No.
That was a nice try, guys. Sorry, you're gonna have to read it online.
Well, it's actually going to be nice if you have like a smartphone. You can download one of the PDF tools and you bookmark it and that kind of stuff in the PDF tool and just do the reading yourself. And I would assume that the screen readers could work with that because it's just a PDF. I haven't tried it yet. But the screen reader would probably work, and you have yourself a economy grade audiobook, maybe we'll call it, as you talk in the mechanical voice. Okay, that
what
was
is wrong with that?
Yes. Johnny Cash is saying the 120 double-sided pages is still 250 pages worth of ink. You're just saving on the paper cost.
Well, yeah, but it's all based on click, not ink.
Well, it depends on the service. If you're doing it, he's correcting himself with the 220 or 240 rather. The ink, if you're buying it by the cartridge, is the cost that varies, not the per page. All right, we're going to have to take off pretty soon here, but I did want to mention that episode 23 of the official geocaching.com podcast came out, and a couple things that were interesting because I did the Cache Carnival recap and the AR Cache recap. So it was a episode of cool recaps that we've talked about on this show. Cache Carnival, this came only a couple of days, weeks, whatever, after we talked with Anika over at Geocaching HQ about the Cache Carnival. And they actually went into some more stuff that we didn't. They skipped a lot of the stuff that we talked about too, but a little bit more about how they were determining in the room how the whole thing was going to work. And I thought it was interesting. The Cache Carnival was kind of a later addition to the project. They were just looking at what's the promotion going to be, how's the points going to work, all that kind of stuff. And then they came up with Cache Carnival because it was about creating, and they figured that Carnival is about creating and sharing.
Nice.
So that was pretty interesting. So I think it's a really good supplement to what we had. Very different material, and overall, I really liked it.
That's an episode I need to listen to, but I think they came up with a great idea this promotion period, and the AR caches are interesting. I'm curious to see what will happen with
they weren't tell us too much about where that's going to go, but they said that the overall feedback was great, even though a lot of people were complaining about the technology. They really loved the caches. And one of the more interesting points that she made was, I think it was 181 word logs was the average for AR caches. So well above the norm. AR caches.
I recently got a log on one of my caches that was just dot.
I've had a few of those, actually.
Thank you very much.
Although I think I've run across them more than I've had them. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. But the interesting thing, I think, so far, they haven't grandfathered them, and they've kept the survey open. Or they haven't archived them. They've grandfathered them, and they've kept the survey open. They're still looking for the feedback on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting indeed.
Very interesting. Johnny Cash says, I will write more next time, Chris. Promise.
He's just trying to be succinct.
Well, there you go. Maybe my cache didn't deserve more than a dot.
Yeah.
If it's a nano cache, should you write a very small log?
But maybe he's trying to conserve the ink.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but does it deserve a favorite point?
Ooh.
Maybe you were so wowed by it that you couldn't write the log. You were just, you had no words.
Yeah.
Only punctuation. Okay. With that, maybe we should run away. What do you think?
Oh, I think we should have done that before.
Yeah, for the sake of everyone involved, it's safer if we run it away. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. So check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads@cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Offenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2019 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.